y'all? It's your favorite host, AybrielBTV, and welcome to another episode of Down and Dirty. Today, we're going to talk about discernment and walking into your purpose in life. But before we get started, of course you want to know who these amazing people are. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Oh, good evening. My name is Kameren. I'm an aspiring architect. I go to Kennesaw State University, graduate May 11th.
Okay.
All right, my name is Destiny Webster. By day, I'm an engineer. By night, I'm a serial entrepreneur.
Yes.
I do some of everything, but I do have an online boutique.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tiera, Ware. I'm a brand strategist and designer.
All right.
Right.
What's up, y'all? I'm Ruben. I am a musician, artist. You know, me and my brother do a lot of skits and everything like that. So you can follow me at Real Ruben DeAngelo on Instagram.
Right, And so tell me, has God revealed to you guys what your purpose is? And if so, what do you believe he's revealed to you?
That's deep. Well, okay, what I would say is, so for me, I feel like even since I was younger, like I always kind of like had a passion for like talking and just like, you know, kind of giving advice.
Right.
Because I went through a lot of different things growing up, and it just kind of gave me a different perspective at a young age. And so through the years, like even with friends, family, whatever the case may be, I was just always, you know, just speaking and, you know, trying to help people see the other side of it. Because a lot of times we get so focused on the negative that we can't see the positive, even when we're in the negative. You know what I'm saying? So it just was one of those situations where, you know, because I made it through what I made it through, I felt like I could speak to people and help them get out of their situation too.
Right.
So that's kind of where like the music side of it came from, and it really just, you know, it allowed me to say the things that either it felt difficult to say sometimes, and I didn't know exactly how to express it. If I put it on a song, I got it out exactly how I needed to, and found that people could relate to it. You know, and honestly, it just was something that just came natural and just was easy to do. Like, it's one of them things I can just wake up and, you know, feel free at. So I feel like that to me shows me more of the purpose side of it.
Wow, that's good.
That's
good.
Yeah, for me it was a little deep. I mean, it was a little different though. For me, I didn't find my purpose until I really like got connected with God in a sense. So when I say connected, I mean it's the difference between knowing God, in my opinion, and then having like a real encounter with God. So as I started getting older, you know what I'm saying, I started getting touched by God. And I was doing all these things, playing basketball, you know, working on cars, this, that, and third. I knew I was good working with my hands. So I'm like, it's something with my hands. Then left Savannah State, came to Kennesaw, and boom, architect. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm building, you know what I'm saying? I'm designing, know how to draw, know how to do all this. But at the same time, it's not just about me building and constructing and designing these buildings. It's also, what about people? You know, you can talk to people, you can build them up, you can build their hearts up, you know what I'm saying? So it's really just, it's a lot more than building. I'm still tapping into it.
Right.
But like so far, it's like, it's really something that I never pictured. And I wouldn't have got that far unless I actually tapped into that, you know what I'm saying, as far as my purpose. So.
What about you ladies?
Okay. So, I love what they just said, because purpose in Christ means that you are leading people back to Him, and you're being a light. And everybody has the same purpose in life. So I think that our gifts and talents is what makes room for that purpose. So with me, I'm across the board, mammy, okay?
Right.
I'm gonna hit you in any aspect. So I like to make sure that I'm pouring into women. I do that through fashion. I can do that through doing somebody's hair. I can do that through motherhood. I can do that in many aspects,
ways, right?
Yeah, through many different ways, and that's only because God graced us to do so. However, you do have to have that encounter to understand the how. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
I think the how is super important, but I think people do need to understand that we are here for other people. We're not just here for ourselves, and that's the purpose that we all have. To be here for somebody else, to be a light for somebody else.
I think I really like what Destiny said, where she's like, you know, your purpose really is to serve. That's our purpose as being in Christ. For me, my journey looked a little bit different. I experienced God when I was 11. That's when I first, quote unquote, like experienced or received God, got saved, all of that good stuff when I was 11. I was even speaking in tongues at 11.
Wow.
So I, you know, grew up in the church. My parents were saved. all of that stuff. So my journey just looked different. When I got to college, that's when I started experiencing like, whoa, everybody does come from a different walk. Like everybody doesn't have the same upbringing as me. Everybody doesn't go to church on Sunday. Some people have never even heard or experienced God at all. So it looks different when you're trying to, I wouldn't say recruit people to Christ, but, you know, I think the best thing for me as far as my purpose is to be aligned with God, because that's the only way people can see like, it's something about her. I wonder what that is. Versus me telling them, saying like, hey, you know, you need to be saved. You need to do this. You need to do that. You know what I'm saying? Versus me just being aligned with my purpose. Another thing I think with purpose is that God doesn't always just give you a blueprint of what your purpose is, right? So being that I was saved so young, I could tell you what God told me my purpose was to do that. He told me to do that. You know what I'm saying? I can say so many things that God told me my purpose was, but I think we're always going to be on a journey to our purpose. Right. That's why discernment is so important, because there are so many facets, so many things that He's going to expose. So many different stages, right? So many stages, and it's not going to always look like, at 22, at 30, you're going to be you're gonna be on the stage with Kanye. Like, it doesn't look like that. You know, he's not gonna tell you this in a dream. And I think that's one of the hardest parts about being a Christian and following God, is that He doesn't give you all of the answers in one prayer session, right? You can be like, God, I know you told me to do entrepreneurship, but it's hard. The clients aren't coming. And you know what I'm saying? It doesn't always look like this blueprint, you know? So, yeah.
And I think even with discernment, it's certain little subtle things that God starts revealing to you when you're on your journey. If you want to, give up, He's like, you might see something where you're scrolling, keep going. Or somebody might send you a message, hey, I hope you're having a great day, keep going. And you're like, you know what? I was just about to give up. So I think that even with discernment, when you're in, when you get aligned with God, He also sends you certain, puzzles or any pieces along the way so that you can piece them together. So I think that it is really important for you to be able to hear discernment. And so let's talk about creating those healthy boundaries. When you're on your journey, you have people, things, and all that coming up. So how do you create those healthy boundaries for you to, of course, make sure you're staying aligned, but just in general, we need healthy boundaries in our life in general?
Well, I would say you have to let people, earn your trust, right? And you also doing it with yourself. Like, the more and more, you proving to yourself that, okay, I can do this, I can do that. And you take it a step at a time and not try to attack the whole world, right then and there. So it's one of those situations to where, like, you set boundaries, because if you let people in, like, for me, if I'm writing a song and I can get really excited about the song, if I let somebody in too early and they could just be speaking an honest opinion about something, and it kind of throws the vision out. So now that's where you start looking at yourself, like, damn, maybe I should switch
what I'm supposed to do, right?
I should do something a little different. And it's like, nah, hold off on it first. Keep that in, because honestly, a lot of times you'll find, like, if you might have like a really good ideal or something that you're working on, and then you'll say something about it too early. And the moment that you do that, all of that momentum and all of that energy that you had for it is now gone.
Grace is something that we don't extend enough, and I feel like my biggest thing with communication is it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Even in how you share Christ with others, and how you even saying something is not good, you have to learn how to tactfully express things to people, and that's what you need the Spirit of God to help you do. Like, hey, God, I don't know how to go about this situation. How do I say this to this person in a way that they are not offended? Because this is something that I want them to receive and take well, and I feel like that takes a gift. It's a gift. It is a gift to know how to tactfully express things that cause you harm, that you don't like, that, it's a gift, and it's something that you have to really practice, because just because something offends you or you just feel like, oh, that's not right, that doesn't mean that you just go say, hey, no, that's not what I'm on today. You need to grow up. That's just petty.
That's me, though. That's maturity.
You got to. That's not how you set. That's not how you set boundaries. And in that's using discernment, with knowing how to set boundaries with people and knowing what to say. Because if you do get that phone call and someone is like, talking about gossip or whatever the case may be, you can just easily say, not even in a way that addresses them, is, you know what? That sounds like that's a lie. I'm going to pray for her. Yeah,
Yeah,
move on. That's
Right,
it.
right, yeah.
That's it. And after a while, people get the message of maybe I do need to pray for her, because, a lot of people don't really understand gossip, like you talking about somebody or you just bringing up a situation that could really just be on your heart. Maybe it's on your heart because God wants you to pray about it, not necessarily that he wants you to take it to somebody else.
Exactly.
So
That's it.
yeah.
That's good.
And that takes maturity, though. I know, because
Yeah.
you have to get to that stage. Because I know I'm like, hey, well, she did it. Let's call her up. Like, so I think that it definitely takes maturity to get to that level. And so when you're, on your journey, how important is it for you to get out of your comfort zone to be able to achieve your goals?
Oh, that's huge. It's huge. You can't stay in the comfort zone if you're trying to actively grow and change. Like, that doesn't even make sense. So I'm comfortable here, but I'm still growing and changing. Nah, you really just staying in one spot. You got to be fearless with it. Be brave and just put yourself out there because you just never know what's going to come, where the next opportunity is. If you've been doing something for so long and you're expecting it to change, if you don't do anything to make that difference, it's just going to be the same result every time.
Right.
So at some point in time, you got to make yourself uncomfortable. And then you find comfort in that. And then you find the next topic. Find the next goal that you put yourself into.
Right.
And eventually now you're a jack of all trades and you can do so many things because you didn't settle for that one spot.
Mm-hmm.
But it goes back to being honest with yourself. Like, just be real and say, okay, this is what I really want to do.
Mm-hmm.
If you're comfortable here and this is all you want, don't let nobody, make you feel bad about that. But if you want more, if you're unsettled, then that means that you got to make yourself uncomfortable so you can go and get everything else that you really want.
That is, but it's talk about, even getting to that stage because to get out of your old habits and things, it takes work. It takes you to evaluate, what, this isn't working or, God give me strength to be able to pursue that. Like, I'm really nervous because you have all those things and those pressures of social media. Like, I'm not good enough. This is not happening. My business isn't growing. So it's like, how do you get out of that comfort level? Like,
you gotta be willing to, though.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't rely on social media or what people around you are saying. It's got to, like you said, you got to be honest with yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you're not doing enough. When there's more for you. You know what I'm saying? So you selling yourself short. But being uncomfortable, to me, that's not even an option. You know what I'm saying? Because it's about growing. You know what I'm saying? Growing as a person. How can we do these things? How can we go these places that we don't ever grow? We're comfortable. We're familiar.
Right.
We're staying familiar, and that's I see a lot of people doing that, and it's not intentionally, but a lot of people are scared to actually step out on faith. That's what I call it, step out on faith, and actually, you know what I'm saying, take the necessary chances it takes to grow as a person too. So
I like that. I want you guys like it. It's good.
Acknowledgement is the first
step. Right.
Yeah, acknowledgement, but I think that it also takes some analyzation and some evaluation. Like, evaluate your circumstances, evaluate your situation.
Right.
And that's how you can kind of formulate a plan. You start off with what do you have before you? Okay, so I'm working at this job that's paying me $15.75.
Hello.
And how much are my bills? Write your budget out.
Right.
Write it all out. Write everything out. If you want to start a business, write it all out. Make the vision plain.
Hello.
Write it down. It's so simple. Like, everything is so simple, but it's just the fear that causes us to not take the steps.
Right.
So, also, of course, people are fearing more so things that are in the world than fearing the Lord in reverence.
Say that.
So because they don't fear the Lord, they're not able to even grasp a plan. They're not able to even take the first step because they're like, oh, well, I don't think I'm going to get this money, or I don't think I'm going to be able to get this building, or I don't think people are going to support me, or my friends and my family not going to support. They're so worried about everything else that's not even in their control.
Right.
But if God already appointed you to do it, He's going to already have everything laid out for you. He just wants you to take the step.
Come on, Dad. Preaching now. Right.
That's it. Like, I just think that people lack evaluation. Self-evaluation is super important, though. It's super important. Where are you? Who are you?
Yeah,
it's simple questions like that people can't answer for themselves.
Some people don't want to.
They don't want to. Yeah.
They really don't want to.
And even if they do want to, I think I don't know if it's, it is a bit of a different perspective because I feel like I really do have like a very strong compassion for people who cannot see those things or acknowledge those things, because if you think about or if you look at somebody who's been dealing with some type of childhood trauma since they were a child, and they've been told time and time again. I can think of something small like, okay, if I talk too much, right? And let's say God called me to be a talk show host or do anything like that. Now, every 5 minutes, talking too much. On my report card, she talks too much. She talks too much. So I'm going home getting beatings for talking too much.
Right.
Eventually, I become quiet, right? So I need to shut my mouth, right? So something so small, something so small as that is, you know, some things I feel like are not just something that a person caused on themselves. Some things their parents could have put on them. Right. Some things, you know, your parents were, some gifts you had, your parents were supposed to support. They were supposed to foster those things, plant, you know, water the seeds that you had as a kid. Yes. And for a lot of people, they didn't have that. You know, that stuff was shut down. They was told you better go get a job, you better go to college. Some of them finished college, and that was enough, right? So it was just like, I am doing a good job. I'm doing the best that I can with what I had. Exactly. And so it's not that they looking at themselves in the mirror saying, I'm not doing enough. It's I am doing good. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying. Right. You know? So I think, like, to help people, I think the method that I try to use when I'm talking to friends who I feel like, you don't see yourself the way God sees you. It's just more so like telling them, like, do you feel a nudge in your spirit every time? You done talked to me about this about 5 times. Maybe that's God telling you should do something. Because that, again, that's us using grace. That's us using the gift God gave us to help kind of push some people out of those things. Because a lot of times we don't know what it looks like. If you've never experienced God, you're not going to know what it looks like if God is trying to talk to you. You're not. You're going to keep saying, the universe told me.
Right. That's how it is. Right.
You know, like, you're not going to experience God in the same way as somebody who is more mature in Christ, right? If you're a babe in Christ, you're not gonna, or if you don't know God at all, everybody's not gonna look at it as, I need to be in the mirror, this, that, and third. You know, you really have to start talking to people from the aspect of, this is what it may look like if God is talking to you, or this is what discernment looks like. Like, we use that word a lot in, you know, in the spirit world, but we don't really tell people, like, what discernment is, what does it look like, what does it feel like, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like guiding people, and me, even myself, if I didn't have somebody who was more mature than me to help kind of, you know what, Tiera, I think God is calling you to do this, and I'm just like, He is? How do you know? I'm scared, you know, like, you know, what does that really look like? So yeah,
I think that's the beauty of us, though, having just being birthed in God's likeness, because He already made the plan before we were even here. He knew what we were set out to do. What we were gonna do with our lives. It was already written. So I think that even if someone did experience, like, the childhood trauma, or, you know, anything as a young adult, doesn't matter. There are people that He placed specifically on their blueprint, specific encounters for them to have, so that they can be pivotal to their growth and to their transformation. So I think that you, like how you spoke to your friend, you were one person that God put on their blueprint to turn it around for them, to help turn it around for them. And there are many situations, I mean, a lot of people go through this. Like, I even went through it. I mean, everybody go through it. Everybody has somebody that has come into their life, even if it's only for a moment, that has said, bro, you can do this. You know that? You know that? You really can do this. And they be like, and then it sparks something in their mind, and it's like, oh shoot, I really can do this. And then and then that's when the trigger goes off, and they're like, okay, what I need to do? Let me get started. And then God will literally, He appoints, and he makes provisions. I'm telling you. But
I think you have to you still have to get into that space, because, like you said, if you don't really believe, you know, if you don't believe in God, or like people say the higher powers, or whatever the situation is, you're not gonna know. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna know. You're gonna think that, oh, okay, you know, she's just telling me this, or you know, you're not going to know, because you never even thought you never, again, you're not even really a baby in Christ. You don't have a relationship. So it's kind of like, at that point, you're just thinking, oh yeah, she told me good job, but I'm doing this on my own. You know, because a lot of people, let's be real, a lot of people think they got where they got to in life on their own, because the devil does give blessings too. So it's just like, a lot of people, you have to walk onto, you know, if you're starting off as a baby, or if you're more experienced in your Christianity. However, sometimes people just don't know if that's God. It's like, yeah, I found Him on my journey, but it's like, she was just a friend. I just bumped into her, like, oh, okay. So I think that we should also, you know, when you don't have discernment, what are those, like, how can you hear, you know, I guess the only real reason is you getting into the word.
You have to have that. I mean, not even just getting into the word, because
Right.
I mean, like, it's interesting when I think about, like, we all came to Christ, and you know, at our own particular time or whatever.
Right.
And just because you read the word don't necessarily mean that you got to encounter with God. Because I remember times where I used to open the book and I used to be stuck on Genesis and like, I don't know what
this is saying, right?
But then it's like, but then it's like the minute I actually got that encounter and I actually, you know, wanted to sacrifice, you know, myself and this, that, and the third, and say, hey, you know, have your way, basically. That's when everything started making sense. So once everything started making sense, it was like, okay, now I got it. So going to, you know, leading people to Christ, for me, that was always a hard part in a sense, because how we talked about, you know, you can say this and that and third to a person, you can pat them on the back, you can say, hey, you know, you're doing a good job, and you can get them to where they're supposed to go. But for me, I always felt like it might have been like my assignment to get somebody there, and in reality, it was never my assignment. God didn't tell me, hey, you were supposed to get this person there. You know what I'm saying? And I love, like, I'm big on family, you know what I'm saying, and people. So it's like, if I'm trying to pour myself out and I'm trying to say, hey, I know you're a good person, I know you got more in you, you know what I'm saying, you deserve better, and God has this for you, and you just got to believe in this, that, and third. If I'm pouring my all out to you and you're not receiving it, it's like, it used to do something to me. I'm like, dang, like,
right.
He not receiving it. She not receiving it. So like, God, what I'm supposed to do? Did I fail you? Did I do this and that third? And at the same time, he was like, no, he had to humble me and say,
that wasn't your position.
yeah, you trying to be God, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're a servant, you know what I'm saying? Do what I tell you to do, you know what I'm saying? Take a step back, you know what I'm saying? So I had to really come back to myself and say, okay, let me take a different stab at it. So now it's like, okay, now I'm still doing what I need to do, but more so in tune with the Spirit. So I'm listening and doing things that the Spirit needs me to do rather than myself. You know what I'm saying? So,
That's good.
I feel like you can always tell where people are in their walk with Christ based on how they navigate other people to Christ, because I think that excitement, that's a babe thing. You like, I just discovered him. This is an amazing feeling. I feel free in this, and that excitement makes you say, I want that for you, and everybody else in my family who's never experienced God, but he did not call you to do that. And sometimes, like I said, with the grace and how you tactfully show people God, or just doing what you're supposed to do, is sometimes the best example for other people who haven't experienced Christ. And just that curiosity, because the Bible does say God knew us when we were in our mother's womb. So it's not like, you know, he's chasing us down, you know, to come to him. You know, you have to have some type of curiosity or some type of moment in your life. And sometimes that's not even a bad moment for everybody, but everybody's journey to Christ looks different. And sometimes it doesn't take you being so aggressive, because I think that can push people away, you know, and it's just like, oh, I don't like what they
They press this a little too hard, No, I get it.
Yeah, sometimes you aren't there to grow the whole plant. You just there to water or plant, or just plant the seed. You just there to water the seed or just plant it in the garden. So,
I definitely had to learn that too.
Yeah,
because I would do that so much, like, no, man, you better than that, but and everybody wouldn't receive it, and it's like, dang, okay, you know what I'm saying?
What am I failing?
So to learn that, okay, it's just a different approach. Maybe you can say certain things, little subtle stuff, to kind of get them on their way, help them out for that moment. But like you said, it's not always up to you to be they savior. You know what I'm saying?
So do you think your purpose changes over time, like as you go through different stages, or is it the same purpose? And you know, what y'all think?
Your purpose can change over time. I feel like God can give you a purpose for a certain season, and you can complete that purpose. It's time for another assignment. And I think a lot of times we stay so stuck on what we planned, and just going back to your previous question, just because I planned something and it didn't go as planned doesn't mean it wasn't God's plan. Like, he had another plan, clearly. And I do feel like, you know, we have our will and then there's God's will, which is why we pray, God, let your will be done, right? Because just because we, you know, think, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. If God tells me, all right, you're done with that, you served enough businesses, move on. I'm going to be like, what? I had plans to do X, Y, Z.
Exactly.
Again, I had plans, but I don't think your purpose, you should just stick to it. I think you have to be open to God's will. And sometimes his will does not feel good. Sometimes it doesn't look like what you set forth for yourself or what you had in mind for yourself, which is why that pruning, which is why that discernment, which is why you going through certain seasons is so important, because it gets you to transition to the next season, the next assignment. So,
and because to speak to that, because if you think about it, say like you were really good at basketball, right? He was probably the best in the neighborhood, best out your crew. And it pushed the next person that was right there watching you, that was playing against you, like, oh, I gotta get better than this person. And it maybe even catapulted them to where they actually took it that much more serious and they ran with that. Right. And for you, it was like, all right, like you said, it was just that season that you just did that. Now, on to the next step for you. But for them, it was just because, like you said, our purpose, we're in service of others. So you think about it, you just served as motivation for the next person so they could continue pushing forward to their step.
Right.
So I can agree with that.
Because I remember telling Aybriel, you asked me this when I first got here, and I was telling you, or maybe, no, it was you. You asked me about what I did. And I was saying, I went to college for something completely different because I had really strong aspirations to be a lawyer. And what I realized is that God never took that desire away from me, but it wasn't for me in that season. If I would have went to law school straight out of college, I would have failed in law school because I lost my mom recently after college. So I would have flunked law school. I know that. Going through grief in law school, it was not for me during that season. And then just getting so much of the, advice that I've received as to when you should go to law school or not rushing yourself to do graduate school. You want to have money. You don't want to be broke in school.
Right.
It's certain things. You can get scholarships. You don't have to rush into college without scholarship. You can go to school for free. You just have to put in the work for it. So that just made me realize, like, I still have other goals I'm trying to reach. It doesn't mean that those aren't for me. Right. They weren't for me in that season. So, we can't just be so stuck. And it's just like, okay, God, when you're ready for me to revisit that, if that's in your will, line it up. You know what I'm saying? So I think we do sometimes just get so caught up on what we said, what people thought that we should do, because let them tell it. If you're about 6'5", you going to the NBA.
Exactly.
I was tall. They was like, oh, you should be a model. You should do this. You should play basketball, baby. I can't. I can't. I'm sorry. So you really do have to be in tune with God, and sometimes it just don't feel good. That's just what it is. It don't feel good what He wants.
So I do like that you touched on, if it isn't this season or something like that, it might be your season next time, because if it didn't work out this season, it may work out next time. So
asking yourself, am I the person I need to be to successfully complete that assignment? Because if I would have received a lot of stuff that I wanted at the young age I initially wanted, I would have fumbled it. It could have been fumbled because of who I was attached to. It's so many things that would have caused that to be fumbled. And then it would have been like, oh my God, I failed. Nah, I think there's certain things we have to go through to develop us, to prune us. And so that when we do get to where we're going, I'm not even disciplined enough to do law school. I was not disciplined enough. It would have been bad. You know what I'm saying? So just thinking about, where am I going? What do I see myself trying to do? And God, what skills do I need to have to get there? If this is a season of pruning, then this is a season of pruning, because it's not that He's not answering your prayers or that He doesn't want to give something to you. It's like, am I being real with myself?
Who I am and who I am.
God, I have discernment, and He's sitting there telling me, you need to use your time better, but you on social media 6 hours a day. And I'm saying, well, God, you're not blessing me. You're not blessing me because you're not who you're supposed to be. Not yet.
You know what
you know it.
Exactly. Or you saying you want to start a business, but like that's said, you ain't write no plan. You ain't figured out how to get started, but you just hoping that God just throws something in your lap. He don't work like that.
He's strategic and He's intentional. So, and in conjunction with that, you have to be obedient and patient.
Right.
So it doesn't work outside of that equation. If you're not obedient to what He's telling you, if you're not hearing Him, that means something ain't clicking, Stephen. It's not clicking. Okay? You need to reevaluate, what is it that I'm doing to the point where I'm not hearing from God in the manner that He needs me to hear from Him. And then once you can do that, because I literally had to do that after I had my baby. I was 25. I was like, okay, I gotta take care of this whole human. I don't know what I'm about to do. Like, as I was like borderline hard girl. You know what I'm saying? I'm out here doing what I wanted to do, and I was like, no, God was like, no, you got a daughter. You can't be out here acting crazy.
And she's looking up to you now, right?
Okay. And I need to be the best example I can be for her. Okay? I need to show her what a woman is and what a woman should be.
Okay.
So I legit was like, we gonna cut the drinking, we gonna cut the, well, I ain't smoke, so we gonna cut the drinking, we gonna cut all this partying. That, well, I ain't really care about that either. But, we just gonna cut the drinking. You can't be out here drunk, acting a fool, whatever.
25 is your best life.
I didn't care. I got my best life in my daughter, so that was cool. That was good. I love her to death. And she really, like, not necessarily birthed a new purpose in me because, like I said before, I think we all said purpose is, all of our purposes are to serve. Right. So it never really changes. The assignment just changes. And at that time, my assignment changed. My assignment shifted to motherhood. Right. And I'm like, okay, I know it wasn't just motherhood, but I also knew that motherhood was going to shift me into a new level of womanhood. Right. So I had to make sure that I was doing the things necessary. And I'm like, all right, what I need to do, Lord, because this ain't working out for me. Right. What I need to do? Let's cut that. Let's cut that. I started praying for my approach heavy. That approach is something serious. Hello. Because I used to be a mean
working
girl.
On it. Hello.
A very mean girl. Like, I will cut you up with some words. And it's not okay to do that. To do people like that, especially if they really don't know. Right. You know what I'm saying? They really don't understand. And so I have prayed for my approach for years. And it's just like, okay, God, I'm just now getting it, y'all. I'm like, all right, God, you know, like, you're really showing out. Right. But you really have to be just as intentional as God is with your life, with your own life. Right. And from there, and obedient, you show him some obedience, he'll give it to you. He will give it to you.
I love that. I think we had some really good conversation today. What you guys think? I hope we inspire you guys at home to find your purpose. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms at AybrielBTV.com, and we'll see you next week for another episode of Down and Dirty. Bye.